computer-based technology, and it worked out perfectly. I mean, today the Americans are the big army power. Forget about the Russians, that's all a show. That's all show. That's all one military power. That's all one single big military power with 3, 4, 5 or 6 branches, but nothing else, and each branch can be a nationality. You do the space rockets or whatever, you do, and there is no space. You do this weapon, I do that weapon, and that's it. I mean, there is no real war. Wars are used to redirect their plans when they do not work. Like this fucking lighter, sorry. Now, look at this time. It's like 250 years, 200 years. Look at the number of maximum people in a society, 250. Look at all these wall paintings in caves where I always think when I see them that they are kind of kid drawings, very infantile drawing. That's how I would, or I was drawing my animals like they do. So when I was a kid, I mean, it looks more like kids painting on the walls than adults showing something. I mean, it's all very interesting. So some kids escape from the cities or are not born in the cities, are born in caves. I say born, I should have said appear, but be careful with my language, be careful with my words. Just throw them away, just keep the line. I mean, careful with what I say. Then we have these funny things with the patents, like patents in the first patent in the world, 1801. 1801? I mean, what the fuck? Sorry. 1801? That's the first official patent? Isn't it funny? And you go back and look at all the former patents that are not considered patents by the authorities or by the official historians, but they are named. And you will find a patent, first patent of a certain whatever, every 250 years. Yeah, look it up. Start. It's really funny. I mean, this puts the Roman Empire, what is called the Roman Empire, close to an end at the flood, the last flood, which means 250, 60, 70 or 80 years ago, there was this Roman Empire they describe, but that wasn't the Roman Empire. That was a huge amount of people. Think about Paris. Maybe in Paris there lived, only in Paris, 80 to 120 million people. Paris today has not more than 7.5 or 8 million people, I'm not sure. We'll look it up. Today, and today we're talking about, wow, what? Not enough land, we have no space, we are too many. $80 million in Paris, 250 or 300 years ago. That was the Roman Empire. Look at the patent that was given, showing you the 250 starting point of the supposed Roman Empire. Look at that, you will laugh. They had a good time, these people were living good. one bacchanal after the other, huge party time. I mean, it's understandable because everything was given. All architecture was done, everything was done. They just had to dig it out. The pyramids are not older than 1,000 years. Look at the patterns and you will see how Egyptians jump into a very close timeline. It's very funny. Well, this pattern thing was a good idea. I should have started there before, but I just didn't await something so stupidly easy to see. I awaited going through thousands of patterns and having to travel to special places where archives would help me out, and I was just too lazy to start because I was too lazy to think about the huge amount of work that could come, and I thought, no, you have to do other things that are more important. If I only had started there, but I didn't. You see, and it's so easy. If you look at these first patterns in the world or in the history, Wikipedia is perfect. Perfect, because they just reproduce it. There was nothing to lie about, because it's a big lie. I mean, all is a big lie. But these patterns show you the timeline, show you 200, 250, sometimes 300 years. And then another first patent, and first patent. It's so funny. I think that this is the world of the last possibility. I mean, the flooding has not occurred, and it had to occur. The sun, the fake sun. Remember that we started our voyage with the idea that there's a cat jumping on me. Sorry. The cat needs some hugging and kissing and playing. Sorry. That's a young one. Sorry, just a moment. She needs a lot of love. Ay, 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 ¿qué quiere la niña? Ay, 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 cuidado con la mano, papi, que está muy malita. Ay, 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 qué buena es. Un besito. Un besito. She's looking at the camera from behind. There's a red light flashing. She loves it. Okay, got it. Yeah, you want to sit with puppy? Okay. Now she wants to play. Shouldn't have started. Okay, let's go back to our suns. The main idea is that we knew that the suns were coming. We knew it before the suns could kill us all or enslave us all. So this was a very short moment. It was a very, very short moment. And it was enough for us to react and to trap all these billions and billions and billions of suns. Oh, it's like this French idiot who billions and billions and millions of kilometers. But now, this time, you might just look up at the firmament. I mean, countless stars. We trapped them in the firmament. So that was the end of the attack. But we knew that they would somehow this wasn't enough to trap them. I mean, this was the end of their civilization, and that was not fair. I mean, it's understandable that you counterattack, but this isn't a binary system. We were not bound to a binary system when the attack was produced. So we trapped them. We destroyed one, which would be the image of the moon we are looking at. And we left one that would be the sun we consider the original sun, our our sun. Now, we left this sun because we enclosed all the stars in the firmament, and all the affected by the virus were enclosed in this place under the firmament. And it's an isolated area where you have the continents, you have the sun, you have this kind of moon, whatever it is, and then the stars that are the firmament keeping these very aggressive things away from us, or enclosed so they cannot do any harm any longer. Direct harm. Because other harm they could still do, because we would have left them with the ability to communicate. I mean, it's useless to imprison somebody if you don't give this person or thing the possibility to communicate. So there could be steps of another nexus. Not only you attack me, you try to kill me, I defend myself and I kill you, which is very binary. It would be on a nicer level, let's call it this way, a nicer level. And now, if this communication wouldn't work, we could see this in what these enclosed stars and the sun virus and the last sun doing his path above us would produce in us. So let's say an image always talks more than 1,000 words, and in this case it's the image of this world that would talk about how the virus has evolved, if at all. So we could look at the landscape and at life and find out if the virus has changed sufficiently so we could establish a next step. And if not, if our vision of the world we find or experiment, which is even more interesting but painful, in this case painful, in our case now painful, and other cases before painful, but if doing so we would exactly know how and if there has been any kind of evolution. Now, once we know that there hasn't been the evolution we were expecting, or maybe not expecting, or an evolution that would be valid and useful, or I don't know, but at least valid. And of course, free of pain and free of suffering. Then we would just open the gates of the firmament, a part of it, and let mud and water fall down, destroy everything. That would be our program, and we would do this every now and then, which could be every 200 or 250 years, I don't know. The time span is not so important. It should be the time span we are looking at now, so maybe 250 years. And then they would have to start all over again, which means the virus would have another possibility to start again. And I mean, what will you produce now? What will come now? Will you stop trying to escape, or I mean, will you stop trying to infect everybody, or will this infection be a useful thing and produce less pain? Or so every 250 years that was the program we left, because then we died, and that were microseconds. I mean, the attack of the suns, and 4 or 3 microseconds or nanoseconds or whatever later, everything was burned down and vaporized, and probably without the most basic connections possible. I don't believe in atoms, so I don't want to talk about molecules and atoms. But we are talking about this like a scenario which is total devastation. Incomprehensible, but I mean, a virus works like that, so why not? But this happened in a very, very short time, in microseconds, 0.4 microseconds probably, I'm not sure. I feel this number, so it's stupidity. Be aware of it. But very short, this is sure, that's for sure. So we left programmation behind us. We had programmed events. And the floodings are clearly programmed events, and they don't go in favor of the virus. Obviously the virus can make it into a favor for the restart, and even for its own presence in life, because he knows that this will happen again and again and again. But mostly it would destroy all the efforts done in the previous civilization, so that's a new beginning, that's a new chance. And within every new chance, every day and every second, there are billions of chances. Because each life represents a chance, a big possibility. A huge possibility. The virus can decide to or not to occupy, to or not to destroy, in billions of occasions every second on or in this isolated area. Now, this time the flooding will not occur. It should, and they waited for it and they prepared for it. Look at Switzerland. Switzerland is the most unknown part of all this stuff, and it should have been looked up earlier, but there's a lot of fear to do so. Even naming